NERDSoul.
Why are you a black man in love? Hello, everyone. Thank you once again for joining us here on Black Together, a walk in her shoes. I am Lady Lisa, and I am joined by Miss Madam Butterfly. Say hello.
Peace, love, and light, everybody.
All right, we are in our very last episode of our series, Black Girl Magic, Smoke and Mirrors versus the Truth. And before we get started with that, I want to tell NERDSoul thank you as always for allowing us to be on his platform. And I ask that you please check him out on YouTube and on ThatNERDSoul.com. He has a variety of videos about comic books, movie reviews, hip hop, on and on and on. So please check that out. And also, he has merchandise on shop.nerdsoul.com. So thank you, NERDSoul, for allowing us on this platform. So let's go ahead and jump in. We are covering today a show that we're titling I'm Every Woman. It's about giving of ourselves in work, with family, friends, etc., but never feeling sufficient. So, what is in our shoebox for today, Madam Butterfly?
We have a leopard print hair calf flat because today we are talking about martyrdom for the sake of being superwoman in the household and how to find balance.
All right. Okay, so let's jump in. I'm going to let you start on this one, Madam Butterfly.
Oh my. Okay. Well, when we decided that we were going to use this topic, I started to think about, what it means just to be a Black woman. What does womanhood represent? What were the examples of womanhood that I saw, and everything that kind of went along with that? And so one of the things that I realized, and I think we've talked about it on a previous episode, is that I always viewed womanhood as feeling completely depleted, sacrificing beyond myself. And if I didn't have that feeling of being overwhelmed or exhausted or depleted, I felt as if my work wasn't done. I wasn't properly fulfilling my obligations as a woman, wife, mother, sister, you name it. So my first question was kind of like, okay, well, where does all of that come from? What does that mean? And is the need to handle everything, is that fear-based? And if so, what is the fear that is keeping all of that angst going to continue operating in that way? That's a lot.
It's a lot. I don't know if it's fear based. Because I don't know. I guess you could say fear based because honestly, it's kind of a open field of there's a plethora of things to say. There's fear of. Fear of being insufficient, fear of somehow not fulfilling a role that you're not sure what the role really is, what the requirements are. I think that may really be it. It's like you're not sure what it is you're, quote, supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. And so you just try and do everything. Mm-hmm. Right? Because it's, I don't know. I really don't know. And I think it is because, I don't know, for me, as you were talking about what your thoughts were about what being a woman meant. I was thinking like, I don't know if I ever really had, growing up a an idea of what womanhood was. I do know that, of course I would see my mom and, and granny and everybody else always just doing work. Always, always, always. There was just always something to do, always something to worry about, always something to fix, you know, falling asleep in chairs, that kind of thing. Like for example, I know that I am culinarily challenged. Okay. All right. I'll put that out there. I recognize that I'm culinarily challenged. And I contribute part of that to the fact that I had no interest in going in the kitchen when I was younger because I would see my mother and grandmother deplete themselves in the kitchen, especially on holidays, to the point where everybody else is throwing down, enjoying stuff, and they in the sofa or in a chair, knocked out.
Right. Hmm.
I wanted no parts of that. I was like, what? Why? It was too much, and it was stressful, to do all of these things. I didn't see joy in it. I know
Right.
for them there was joy in seeing everyone else enjoying it, but my thing was I don't need to experience that kind of joy. I mean, I think it's selfish of them to be experiencing this and seeing me laying over in the chair because I'm too tired to enjoy what I just did.
Hmm.
That kind of thing. And it's just, even that in itself is like to put yourself through that year after year after year. You know what I mean? And then take it on to the point where you don't want anyone else to help you because it needs to be done a certain way. And if we're truthful, because you want to be able to take all of the credit for having done all of this and the
Right.
accolades for having worked so hard.
Hmm.
So I think it's a whole lot
It is.
going on with that. I mean, it's the need for accolades. It's the I think the doubt of being sufficient, the um not being sure about what your responsibilities really are or should be.
Hmm.
And the fear of things not getting done if you don't do it.
Yes. So then I wonder, I wonder if other nationalities, other ethnic groups experience the same thing. Is this across the board a issues that women have, or is there a special caveat in dealing specifically with African American women? Because when you were talking and I was thinking about that experience with Granny and with your mom, I I think about the visual of having that visual reference in front of you and it going back generations. you
Mhm,
know Other groups, in particular Europeans, could turn on the TV and they could see June Cleaver. You know what I mean? And they
mhm,
could say, okay, June Cleaver or I Love Lucy, or there were tons of examples of white mothers, white wives, and how they operated in a household, in their marriage, all of
mhm,
that kind of stuff. We didn't really have that. There were a few people here, there were a few shows here and there that had that dynamic. And really, for our generation, the main thing you could go to is the Cosby Show.
right.
And she was a lawyer, which was something that really wasn't the norm for our family,
Right.
to see that type of dynamic. So it's like, okay, where exactly is this coming from? Is this us viewing, generations viewing the generations before, going all the way down to slavery and beyond.
Mhm.
Is this kind of a is this kind of the legacy of womanhood that has been brought forward to us, where we feel insecure and inadequate because we don't know what we're really doing. So we're kind of just grasping at anything that feels normal to what our childhood experiences were.
I honestly think you probably hit it right on the head with that, because that had to be something that was rooted from slavery, in my opinion. Because if you really think about it, once we were enslaved, we were put in a place where our job was whatever we were told our job was. Our role was whatever we were told our role was. Versus, in our homeland in Africa, there were very clear roles about what you did as a woman, what you did as a mother, as a member of the village, etc., etc. Your roles were clear, and there was times of community. You did what you had to do. Everyone knew what they had to do to take care of their home, to take care of each other in the village, etc. And then everyone came together as a community and, you know, communed. You had time together. There was no time where you're like, oh my God, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. No, because you knew what your role was. You knew what it
Right.
was you were supposed to do, and you did it. There was no one coming to you saying, oh, well, now that you're finished that, go do this.
Right.
Now that you're finished that, go do. No, because everybody had their role. Everybody knew their place. They knew their position. They knew what they were supposed to be doing. Versus, you fast forward and put us into slavery. You do whatever it is I said you do. You take on whatever role I tell you to take on. So I mean, I really think you kind of hit it on the head there. And so I think it kind of just went from there. We in general as Black people have not been able to kind of get ourselves back together in terms of having a sense of community and having a clear sense of um, what our roles and our positions are as Black women, as men, uh, community members, neighbors, as a village. We haven't been able to um, reform our villages, you
Mm.
know. And so I think that's probably correct. And it's, yeah, yeah,
It's sad. Like, it's like when you really think about it, because it's. I think as a people, we've kind of become desensitized to a certain extent whenever there's a conversation about slavery, or when there's a conversation about um, our legacy in this country.
mhm,
But when you start breaking down real deal issues,
mm,
to realize that there is a connection still rooted in that, you know what I
yeah,
mean? It's 400 years removed, but these are traditions, ideas, beliefs, that are being passed down, that are being impressed upon our genetic code, and we're functioning. You know what I mean? We're functioning through the trauma and passing down behaviors to generations that come from a toxic place.
yeah,
And we don't even know. We're just kind of doing.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know what you don't know.
Mhm.
And I think it is important to have these kinds of conversations to kind of question yourself about, well, okay, I feel this certain way. I have this certain behavior. Why? I think it's always really important to do that, because sometimes we get stuck in, well, this is just kind of how it is. It's just kind of how I feel, and this is kind of what I do. It's not the best thing. It's kind of weird. It's kind of crazy, but it is what it is. And it's like,
Mm.
But once you acknowledge that, once you've acknowledged what the possibly dysfunctional behavior is, and an unsettling feeling that you have constantly, then you can say, okay, let me study this and figure out what this is and what I can do to change it, or to make it better. What things can I do differently? How can I change my mindset?
Mm-hmm.
How I think, and then hopefully following how I feel, so that I begin to operate differently, and then the next generation can learn something totally different than what I learned based on how I now feel, how I now think, and how I now operate.
Right.
So yeah. Um,
I agree.
one thing I was thinking about when you were talking about, um, Europeans having, something to look at in terms of women, and they had Leave It to Beaver and I Love Lucy and all these different shows. Now, I love old shows, period. My husband laughs at me all the time because he's like, you always watching old stuff. I love it. But it is interesting. It always was interesting to me to watch these shows like Leave It to Beaver, where these women were always dressed to a T. They had on their pearls, they had on their, button down blouse, and they had on their, little hoop skirt or whatever, and their heels to mop the kitchen floor. And I'm like, you make one false move, June Cleaver, you gonna slide right on into office. So it was just always like it was set up that they had to be this picture of perfection. Hair was done. They got on lipstick, earrings, the whole nine. And you
Right.
you in here vacuuming curtains and all this other kind of like like it's a normal day, and it's like that's crazy to me, because for them they had to maintain looking perfect and beautiful and well put together. And in watching these shows, it's because you didn't want to be judged by other women for not looking perfect and put together. You didn't, and still maintaining your home. A lot of what I saw with that is it wasn't so much about doing what your husband thought you was supposed to be doing. It was about, did Katie down the street, see you falling off your game? If she stops by with her nosy behind to drop off cookies and and sees you have a dirty kitchen floor, or that your hair wasn't done,
Mm-hmm.
she's gonna talk.
Right.
So that's a totally different thing, but it's kind of, I think that's something we have in common as women. you know I think it's on another kind of on another level in terms of white women, but it's kind of on the same scale in terms of women, because as black women, I don't think you're gonna catch any of us in nobody's heels cleaning nothing, you know, unless that's some sort of special request, but that's another show. Just saying.
Right, right,
But
right. Oh
but
my
we still, I think, just deal with, I don't know, feeling like we can do everything and have the energy to do everything. I don't know if the pressure is there, honestly, to always look good while you're doing it, but I think there's still pressure to maintain yourself in general. And I'm gonna tell you, look, I have never in all my life been so depleted of energy as I am now, as a 44-year-old woman with a
God.
3-year-old child.
Mhm.
Look, I have worked some hard jobs in my life. I ain't never worked hard before. I've worked 12-hour shifts, 7 days a week, right? I have never felt that I can remember this tired because it doesn't end. And then the guilt of not getting other stuff done at the end of
Right.
the day, even though I'm so tired and I know I got some stuff done, but I feel bad and guilty about what I didn't get done. And even though I'm tired, I can't sleep because I feel bad about what I didn't get done.
Right. It's never ending.
Never ending.
Yeah. It's
And
never
and
ending.
and the kicker is at the end of the day, my husband is looking at me like, what's wrong with you? He's like, I don't care, that you didn't, get all the dishes done, or I don't care that you didn't do this or do that or whatever. And so it's not pressure. And I think this is in general, honestly, it's not pressure from our men about it. It's pressure from within.
Yeah.
It's completely from myself. And I
Yeah.
know it is. I battle with it all the time.
Hmm. It's true. I think that there is just it's just something that goes along, like I said, with that the idea of what womanhood means, and that the whole sacrificing. It's like you hear that all the time. Oh, I'm a strong black woman, I can do it all on my own, and
Mhm.
I've been struggling, and I got to, and I accomplished this, and you know what I mean. It's like that's part of the black experience, is
Mhm.
to feel overwhelmed and to feel like everything is about overcoming some
Mm.
kind of obstacle that seems insurmountable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
To be
So,
the burden bearer.
yes, yes. So, I think that it it makes complete sense, and in the same sense, it doesn't. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Because it's all self-imposed.
it is
You
completely.
know, yeah, it would be a different situation, which I'm sure that there are some women who experience this, but it's a different situation if someone is browbeating you, making you feel inadequate because
Mhm.
they have these unrealistic expectations about different duties that you're supposed to fulfill. But if it's about you creating your own checklist and you're mad at your own self because you didn't get everything on the list done, that's
Yeah,
something different,
right. And
you know?
I think there are times too where you start to feel like you're disappointing someone else. Oh my gosh, like to add in, because we're kind of talking about taking care of the household and taking care of our family and going to work. But then also we can add in friendships, because you have to maintain, you know, friendships. And I think
Mhm.
hopefully most people understand that more and more as they get older. Um, because it becomes not so much about you just go out and party and hang out and you're friends. You're my friend because I go out and party with you every Saturday. And that's the that's the maintenance of our friendship. There you go.
Right.
you know, as you get older, it's about supporting and being happy for each other, giving good advice, holding each other accountable, all those different things. Well, that takes effort and that takes, a lot. And if you move on, uh, in different stages of your life and sometimes move in terms of proximity, it's
Right.
harder to maintain that. And so then you add that on, and I think sometimes for me, in trying to do that, I put the pressure on myself that, oh my God, I haven't called so and so in a while, and oh my God, they texted me and I forgot to get back to them, and oh my God, and it's like then I, send a message like, all right, okay, and I'm over here like, oh, I hope they didn't think I was ignoring them. Oh, I hope they didn't really need anything, and and not to say that you should just be like, I'll call you whenever,
Right.
but you can't, you know, put that much pressure on yourself where you're like
Right.
freaking out about it, because another part of the friendship is understanding, where your
Right.
friend is and that they are overwhelmed and that they do have stuff going on, and knowing them and saying something must be going on because they wouldn't just ignore me, or they wouldn't, it's weird for me to not hear from them for so
Right.
long. And you learn how to flip it and say, well, instead of me tripping about not hearing from them and it's out of the ordinary, let me reach out again and
Right.
see if something's, going on. But it's a lot.
It is a lot.
It's a lot.
It is. I think, when you were talking, I was thinking about, people within my circle. And, thankfully my girlfriends, the sisterhood understands, like you said, they understand that, we all have lives, we all have things going on, whether
Mhm.
it's husbands or careers or whatever the case may be. And so we're all kind of, you know, moving around and doing things. But it is hard, and especially when you think back to younger years and being able to have that freedom to communicate and stuff like that, because maybe your life wasn't as full as it is now, and you wake up for a moment and realize, oh my gosh, I haven't talked to so and so in 3 weeks or 5 weeks or
Yeah.
whatever, and you're just trying to live your life. You know what I mean? You're just trying to stay above water, and you know
I'm trying to find a
all
day to
this
wash
time
my
has passed.
hair.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So, of course, it's can be very, satisfying and fulfilling, to have, husband, significant other, children, healthy friendships and career for some of us and all of that. It's great. But, maintaining all of that and juggling all of that and taking care of yourself
hmm
is a lot. And I, the thing that we sacrifice as Black women is always going to be us.
hmm
It's not going to be anything or anybody else. It's
hmm
always going to be us. And I don't know how our brains are programmed in that way.
hmm
And we got to figure that thing out because, and we had a show about, health, but it translates into our health.
Yeah.
And
There's
yeah,
a reason that heart disease is a leading killer in Black women.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
And
that
it's not
doesn't
because
just
everybody's eating 5 plates of fried chicken, because we're all not doing it.
True indeed. True indeed. The level of stress and anxiety that we are under, not just the everyday, you know, experiences that any person has in the right, in the rat race in this country, but you have to put on top of that issues of being a woman, issues of being a Black woman,
Mm,
issues of being a mother, if that applies to you,
mm,
a wife, if that applies to you, a daughter, a sister, a friend, an employee, a business owner. Like there's all these different layers, and you have to try to navigate that and kind of juggle, wear all of these different hats and try to perform at a certain level, and it's not realistic to be able to always give 100% in everything that you do, no matter what hat you're wearing, day in, day out, perform at 100%. It's
mm,
impossible. But I think that a lot of Black women feel the pressure to do that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And I think the cultural component is significant because all we have to do is walk outside or turn on the TV and we're inundated with images or messaging about how we're less than or
Mhm.
how we're inadequate or how we're inferior, and so, to have that, you know, imposed on your psyche day in and day out, there's going to be some type of response
Yeah.
to that. You know what I mean? And so to try to overperform, so to speak, makes perfect sense when you're getting all of this messaging about how you're not anything and you never will be. So I'm just going to be everything to everybody. I'm going to show you, and we're putting ourselves in the ground faster than we need to be by trying to be superwoman.
Yeah. But then at our funeral, oh, she was just such a wonderful person. She worked so hard for everyone and was always there for everybody. She was just so wonderful. It's like, yeah, but she dead now because of y'all, because of that. We're not gonna talk about that. We're not gonna talk about that. Okay.
It's
Just,
so true.
you know, yeah.
So true. But it's
Oh,
almost like a badge of honor. Like when you were talking about the cooking,
hmm,
you know. It's a badge of honor to be able to be the martyr, to
yeah.
be able to be the one that has sacrificed for the
Mhm.
family to the point of exhaustion. That oh, I am, on one hand, I'm the damsel in distress because I'm so tired. But on the other hand, I am woman, hear me roar. So it's like mixed messaging,
Yeah, it
you know?
absolutely is.
Are you powerful or are you pitiful? What's going on? What's going
Oh gosh, it's so true. It's
on?
so true. It's crazy. So, you know, I thought about the song, "I'm Every Woman," by Shaka Khan, remade by Whitney Houston. And of course, I don't think anybody knows all the words to the song. Um, but we kind of the gist of it, we kind
Uh-huh.
of get it. And it's like
When you sift through all the hollering, not hollering, but hollering.
Holland, HAHLING, Holland. Yeah, so what are your thoughts like when you hear the song and even listening to the song? Like, what are your thoughts and feelings about it? Like, how does the song make you feel, and what does it make you think of?
Well, there's one part that comes to mind and it's in the beginning when you first mentioned that song, it says something like, anything you want done, baby, I'll do it naturally. And it kind of goes on, and it's almost like, not only am I going to give you everything that you could ever want and need, but I'm also going to anticipate, right? So now I am, not only am I Shaka Khan, okay, but now I'm, a fortune teller. I'm Madam such and such, literally. But and I'm going to anticipate what it is that you could possibly want in the future. And I'm going to give you that too, so that you don't ever have to need for anything.
Right.
That is a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure. And on top of that, I'm gonna do it because it's the natural thing for me to do.
Right. Right. There's no, this is not hard. This is easy. This is part of who I am. This is part of my makeup, to be able to intuitively figure out what you want for your own self and give it to you.
It sounds ridiculous, but I'm laughing also because I've seen. I've done this because there have been times, and I think I've mentioned this before, where my husband will get up and go in the kitchen and fix him something to eat. And I'm like, "What you doing?" It's like, "I'm getting ready to fix me a sandwich." If you had asked me, I could have fixed you a sandwich. I could have. He's like, no big deal. But I don't know, I take it in as like I'm supposed to be fixing him something to eat, you know?
Right.
And I
Yeah.
try and tell him, look, if you're hungry, just be like, babe, can you fix me a sandwich or something? And I don't know. Yeah,
I get it. I get it
he
totally.
always looks at me like I've lost my mind.
I get it. I get it. You know what I did was my husband he came home from work, and while he was in the shower, I had laid out pajamas for him.
Mhm.
And uh so he actually got dressed before he came into the bedroom. And so the pajamas was like laid out on the bed. And I'm looking at him, and he sees it. I mean, he didn't really say anything. He didn't acknowledge, one way or the other that the stuff was laid out,
Mhm.
but he had, what he chose to wear, rightfully so, on.
Mhm.
And I'm in my feelings like, I went through the trouble of putting this out for him and blah blah blah. But it's like, when I really think about it, like, this is a grown man, and if he decides that he wants to put on the red pajamas instead of the green pajamas, why am I going to get in my feelings about that? He
Right.
found what he felt like that's what he wanted to put on, just like I do every single day,
Yeah.
right? If whatever it is that I want to wear, that's what I put on and I go on about my day. But I really felt some kind of way because it was like, this is like my love offering.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I'm serving you.
Yeah.
You ain't asked me to do nothing.
Right.
But
And I
I
didn't
made up in
communicate.
my own mind,
Yeah.
this is
And
what I'm gonna do for you.
and I didn't communicate to you that I was doing this for you and would like you to wear these.
Right. And it wasn't even like that. Like, okay, for instance, if you're gonna go out on a date or something like that, and your husband says, "Oh, I would really like for you to wear such and such," or
Yeah.
maybe they buy you something for a specific occasion. It wasn't even that type of thing. I didn't say in my mind, "Ooh, I want him to wear these particular pajamas." It was just the shirt and the pants. It was nothing, it wasn't like GQ magazine
Right.
satin, none of that. It was just regular shirt and pants pajamas, but it
Yeah.
was just the fact that
The
I
gesture.
had put it there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it is crazy, the things that we do and feel a way about it
Mhm.
because it's something I don't know what we were watching one night where it was, I want to say it was one of those shows on OWN. And every once in a while, a part there'll be like a sentence that's like, "Oh, that's good." um, Not much, but it's like, so you've created a situation and decided in your mind how the situation is going to work out, even though the
Mhm.
situation involves somebody else outside of you.
Right, right,
You haven't communicated to that other person about anything,
right.
and they respond how they respond or don't respond. And you're upset because they didn't respond in the way you had set up in your mind. And when you say it, it's like, okay, that's crazy. That is, you know, that's a little cuckoo.
It is. It's
Yeah.
so true. And you start to, especially if you start to beat yourself up about the outcome, and nobody's even mad.
Nobody's even
It's
thinking
not a
about it.
situ right, it's not a situation where there's conflict involved, or, nobody's upset except for you, and you mad about the goings on in your mind. It's just you and you having a fight, you know. For what?
Yeah, it really is. And Yeah, I'm glad we can laugh about it because yeah, it's true that it is stressful, but it is laughable. Like you really think about it, it's like we have to let some of this go and we have to handle it differently, and be realistic about uh what our expectations of ourselves, are. Because again, I don't think there's any pressure, coming from our men about what we do or don't do. I think it's about being honest with yourself about, okay, am I honestly giving all that I can? You know, um, is it that I'm being lazy or is that it's just a lot?
Yeah,
And 9 times out of 10, it's just a lot. We're
yeah.
doing what we can. I know for me, I feel guilt for being tired. I feel guilty about being tired. Some days I am a lot more tired than others. Some days I feel like it's taking everything in me to get out of bed,
Hmm.
and I feel guilty the whole time. It's in my shoulders and everything, and it's a cycle. It's like, I feel guilty for being tired. So I need to get some rest so I can get up and do something. But I can't rest because I feel guilty about resting.
Right. It's true. I get it. I understand 100%. 100%. And sometimes your body just is like, no, you're not doing whatever it was you had in your mind that you thought you was
Yeah.
going to do. You're going to sit down somewhere and whatever is going to just wait until tomorrow. But your
Yeah.
mind is still going because your mind wants to do it, but your body is like, it's not going to happen. So,
Yes.
yeah.
My mind is telling me yes, but my body's saying no. That's the
Right.
remix.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's it's crazy. So we're gonna go ahead and take a break because we've talked about a lot. This has been a lot. So we're gonna take a break.
Yes.
And we're
Uh,
gonna we're gonna go to our segment in your black business. What do we
yes.
have today, Madam Butterfly?
Well, today we are featuring kind of a two-in-one business. Quayosha is the owner of two businesses. She began her entrepreneurial journey as an online digital marketer in 2013 to a company now called Purple Pond. Back then, her passion for digital marketing began to waver after suffering personal and startup challenges. She realized that her professional career was crumbling right before it started, and so was she. Unable to find the assistance she needed, she began to develop her own blueprint for startups. Along the way, she understood that successful entrepreneurs not only needed resources and capital to survive, but career coaches for emotional support and guidance. So she's made it a part of her blueprint to help startups to maintain a work life balance, all the while turning their passion into a successful, long term, profitable business venture. In 2017, the Village Project was born. If you are in need of business startup assistance, please contact Quayosha. For marketing, contact Purple Pond at hello@purplepond.com. That's hello at purple-pond.com. And for entrepreneurial coaching, contact the Village Project. That's village@thevillageproject.info. Village@thevillageproject.info.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So anybody starting up a business, need a little assistance, need coaching, give Quay a call.
All right. Okay, so now we are going to go to New Day's resolutions, which again is just about us focusing on uh, resolutions every day versus, having resolutions for New Year. It's just to take a little pressure off yourself and focus on trying to do something new every day and starting over fresh each day. So once again, for me, I am still working on this curriculum for homeschool. I am making progress. I am working on it pretty much a lot every day now. Um, and I'm making good progress, and I'm actually getting excited about it. Um, and that's all I can handle right now. That's it. That's all the resolution I got for right now, and I feel
Yes.
okay about that because you know this is a lot to
Yes.
do. I have written curriculum for a particular specific class before, but never a curriculum for like a complete school year covering several subjects and topics. I wrote like curriculum for a class that was for a very specific thing.
Hmm.
So
You
yes,
got this, girl. You got it. You got it. I know you can do it.
I'm gonna do it.
That's
Gonna
right.
do it. So how are you doing with your resolution?
Still reading. I'm almost done with the Sunny Hostin book, and so I was trying to decide what my next read was going to be. And I think I'm going to order. I don't know if anybody checked out the Lifetime biopic for Salt and Pepper this past weekend. But I was a huge, huge, huge Salt and Pepper fan. I mean, I still have it in my playlist now, but uh, it inspired me to read Peppa's book, which is called "Let's Talk About Pep," and it's on Amazon. So I'm thinking that might be my February read. I haven't 100% decided because there's another book on femininity that I might read, but I think I'm leaning towards the Pepper book. So
Okay.
yeah, it's going
Well,
well.
that's
Yeah,
good. I'm excited
yeah,
for you. I'm excited for you
yeah,
because I know it's exciting when you have something to look forward to,
yeah.
and I remember when I used to read, it's like you're excited about getting through your book, but you
Yes,
don't want to finish it because you don't want it to end.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Good, good, good.
Hmm.
All right. And let's go on to footnotes. So this is our segment where we just kind of talk about topics that have happened like in the last couple days that we just wanted to really mention. And what do we
Hmm.
have?
Well, we have lost another great. Hank Aaron passed away last week. He was a professional baseball right fielder who played 23 seasons in Major League Baseball from 1954 through 1976. He was known as the home run king with
Mm,
755 career home runs.
wow.
So rest in peace to him, and uh, prayers to his family, and pray that he transitions well.
Absolutely. And so we also wanted to kind of touch on the inauguration um, for our new president, Joe Biden, and Vice President Kamala Harris. And I know probably a lot of you watched the ceremonies and what have you. I'm gonna let you start, Madam Butterfly. What are your thoughts, comments, ideas, feelings?
Listen, you know, generally speaking, I'm very much into politics, history, government. I enjoy that subject matter.
Hmm.
I am really over it at this particular point, and I just need a break.
Yeah.
So I watched all of 7 minutes of the inauguration, and that was just about all I could stand. I'm being perfectly honest. I'm sure that there are people that are going to think that I'm nuts because of, this historical event and all of that. But
Yeah.
I'm just, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I mean, I could, you know, speak on how Michelle Obama broke the internet with her outfit. I could. I could do that, but just go on Facebook and you'll see it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the Bernie Sanders meme, that was entertaining.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, I'm
Yes.
sorry. Like I'm I'm bothered that I feel so cynical about this whole situation. In theory, after all of the shenanigans that have taken place over the last 4 years,
Mm.
you would think that I would feel relief that we don't have to deal with that anymore. But the reality is, no matter who's in power over the years, our people have pretty much fared the same. So I'm not really feeling like anything is going to be any different than administrations past. Now, hopefully, I'm wrong. Hopefully, some great things are going to happen and I can eat my words and I will happily do so, especially with this subject matter. I would love more than anything to be wrong, but I just don't feel inspired. I don't feel, like being hustled by hope. Like
Mm.
I don't feel like that today.
Write that down. Hustled by hope. That needs to be on somebody's t-shirt.
So now that I have poured all of this pessimism into your lap, what are your thoughts about the inauguration?
We pouring out the same bottle. I would hate to tell you. I mean, look, you know, you all have heard of anyone who has listened to this podcast. This is pretty much where we've been through this whole thing. If you heard me and NERDSoul talk about this on in other videos and other shows, it, this has been where we've been in terms of this. Like, I'm looking at, you know, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris out the corner of my eye. Like, I hear what y'all saying. I hear what y'all been saying. I'm watching to see what y'all gonna do, right? And you know, shenanigans have already started. If anybody wants to go look up his plans for his first 100 days, I dare you to go through the full plan and tell me one thing, one thing that he plans to do specifically for Black folks. I'll wait. I'll wait, right? Because, they've had all these accolades for what Black women did, for this election to get them into office, and the Black women are so wonderful and da 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 da. So, what y'all gonna do for Black women?
Mhm.
I'm tired of it. We got the okie doke with Obama, and it's time for us to stop falling for the okie doke.
Mhm.
It's time for us to stop. There is no point in continuing to put Black people in power and being excited about it if they're not going to do anything with that power.
Right.
Period. There's nothing to get excited about if they're doing nothing different than any white person who took that same office or had that same power. And I'm just at that point. Again, I'm like you. I'm not jumping up and down, getting excited about nothing, um, and I don't see it as being pessimistic. I see it as just being realistic. It's based on what we've already experienced. It's based on what we've seen. Now, being excited about the orange man being gone is a separate issue. We, yeah, I'm glad his butt is gone. I don't want to really speak on him ever again in life. I'm
Mhm.
glad he's gone, but that's a separate issue.
Right.
from what I feel about the current administration and if it's going to be anything special or the same old, same old.
Right. Right. It's like being in a marriage where you were being physically abused, and then you get out of that marriage, and then you're in a marriage with someone who cheats,
Mm,
and you're saying, "Well, but I'm not being beaten though."
right. Oof,
Well, but you're getting cheated on.
right.
So, you know, bad is bad, even if the two things that are bad are different.
Right.
It's still the same thing. And the reality is we are still marching, pleading, begging, asking for humanity.
Yeah.
It's 2021, and we're still asking, begging, pleading, marching for humanity, you know? And just like the distraction of having someone who looks like us in office to take our minds off of what's actually happening.
Mhm.
In the same way, allowing us to now use the water fountain,
Mm,
allowing us to now go into restaurants, that has distracted us from the reality that the same policies, the same injustices, the same public lynchings are occurring now that occurred in the 50s, that
mhm.
occurred 20s, that occurred in the 1800s. Like, nothing has changed.
No.
The optics is altered, right, to make it more palatable. The optics, but the reality is the same. Unemployment rate, the same. From the 50s, the same. It doesn't matter who's been in office. Now, I certainly am uh, aware that there's always the possibility of change. And I am going to watch and see what happens, just like everybody else. Um, I just don't feel like celebrating the way that so many have celebrated on the internet. I'm not pulling out pearls and Converse. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And it doesn't mean that it's not something um to make note of, or to appreciate that there are people of color in certain positions. But like you said, if things aren't going to be done to help people that look like you, then what is the celebration exactly?
It's
What does it mean? It
right.
means nothing.
It's
So
optics.
we'll see.
It's optics. And unfortunately, we have been deemed as the only, the only group that is complacent with optics and no action.
Hmm.
We will jump up and down, celebrate, and all this kind of stuff for optics. You painted
Hmm.
Black Lives Matter in the street. Woohoo! Optics.
Hmm. Yep. It
You
That's not a win. That's not a win.
doing
Other
everything except what we asked you to do.
Exactly. Other racial minorities, religious minorities, uh, sexuality minorities, all organized in a way to exercise their political power, their financial power, to have serious changes happen. You
Yeah.
know, we are so busy trying to, we can't even agree on who the quote unquote right person is to come up with the list of things that Black folks need. Oh no, I've been making the list for 20 years. You
Better
only been
get in
making the list
line.
for 5 months. You better get in line. Like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, we've already seen when we choose one leader, when we choose one figurehead for the Black community, we see what happens to them. They get executed publicly.
Absolutely.
So I don't think that there should be a line for anything. I think that there should be so many streams of exercising justice and trying to get things done.
You see, Jesse and Al went and sat down.
Trying to tell you, Al probably needs some sustenance because he done lost so much daggone weight. He looked like a pants dispenser. I'm just saying. he needs, he hungry. Somebody feed him, please.
Y'all excuse us. We don't mean any disrespect. We
No
don't,
disrespect.
we don't mean any
Yeah.
disrespect, y'all. We're being a little crazy. But, not saying that what we're saying is not true and what we really think. And
Yeah, because he does look like a pants dispenser, but for the things that he's contributed to the community, thanks. That doesn't that doesn't invalidate the thanks. The thanks is there.
okay. So
Both can be true.
yes.
I'm just saying.
So we are actually contemplating doing a separate show. Speaking just on this, because as you can tell, we have a whole lot to say about it. So we'll look for that. Look for that. We'll keep you guys informed on that. But getting back to the topic at hand, being every woman. So to wrap it up, what are some let's talk about some key ideas to balancing it all. Some ideas that I had is you have to have boundaries, schedule time to give to specific people and tasks, periods of quiet, meaning no TV, social media, prayer and or meditation, scheduled time for yourself, like actual scheduled time, like put on your calendar, whatever it is, me time, quiet, whatever, um, and work on not feeling guilty about needing to take moments for yourself when you begin to feel overwhelmed. And I think one thing that is probably more important than any of that, for those people that feel like they're being pulled in different directions by others, learn the power of no.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. hmm So at the root of all of that is self-care. That's the bottom line, self-care. If you are not functioning at 100%, then anything else that you try to do is not going to be at 100%. Whenever you get on an airplane, they tell you, put on your mask first before helping somebody else. And that's what self-care is putting your mask on first. Doesn't make you selfish or anything, because I know that sometimes people battle with that belief that, taking time for themselves is selfish. But
Yeah.
you have to make sure that you're okay so that you can be, all of the roles that you can be that best version of yourself and not rush your trip back to the earth.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yeah.
All right, guys. So that is it for today. Once again, this is wrapping up our whole series on Black Girl Magic, Smoke and Mirrors versus the Truth. The links to the previous episodes will be below. We thank you all so much. For those of you that have listened to this whole series, please, please, please like, comment, share, subscribe, all of those things. And thank you to everyone who has been commenting. We appreciate your feedback. We appreciate you sticking with us. I want to once again thank NERDSoul for allowing us on his platform. You can check him out on YouTube on ThatNERDSoul and check out merchandise at shop.nerdsoul.com. You can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Those links will also be below. So once again, thank you. Bye, y'all.
Peace, love, and light, everybody.